In all the time I was talking to Eric, I still had not gotten a call back from Chrissy. I called 2 more times and then just said fuck it and sent her a pic of her and Mike kissing. The return call was immediate. I didn't answer. She kept calling and I kept ignoring. Eventually she switched to text. The first text was as cliche as it gets. I can explain. I sent back, don't bother. I already got the whole story from Eric. Tell your trashy little friend he has divorce papers for her. Just like you will come Monday. At that point I blocked her number. Chrissy came into the house frantically at about 1:30 a.m. She immediately broke down in tears and tried to hug me. I blocked the advance and she began apologizing profusely and begging for forgiveness. I told her to save it. We had a lot to talk about. I wanted every question answered 100% honestly. If I thought she was lying, I would end the conversation and file for divorce on Monday. I had tons of evidence and was not afraid to show the world who she is. I then asked her, "What do you want?" She said she wanted to show me how sorry she was. She wanted to work for forgiveness and for us to work past this. I told her I didn't think that was possible, but would let her explain herself. I asked why she cheated in the first place. She said she had a lot of fun that day, was feeling good and relaxed. She hadn't felt that way in a long time. Work had been so stressful for so long. She let the moment, the drinks, take over and just went with it. She tried telling me how terrible she felt after, but I cut her off. I said, okay, not condoning, not forgiving, but that only explains the drunk sex you had the first time. It doesn't explain the rest of the week. You weren't drunk when you were fucking him 3 to 4 times a day the rest of the trip. Probably weren't too drunk when you fucked Eric, then went and had sandwich sex after. She looked at me with tears and said, "When in Rome." I replied, "Are you fucking kidding me? That's it." She started again. "Well, let's be real. What's the difference between 1 time and a 100? You'd still react this way. Once I had already fucked up. Was there really any difference in stopping or not? Would you feel different?" I was in a fantasy land and just embraced it while I was there. I never intended for you to find out, and I never intended to do this again. I wish I could take it all back. I was despondent. "That's the most terrible thing I've ever heard," she just said. "You asked me to be honest." I asked if she was unhappy, if she was tired of me, if I didn't do it for her anymore. She said, "No, I love you, I'm happy," all the usually crap. That we have a good marriage, she just wanted to feel wild, feel excited. We had gotten somewhat monotonous, and this experience was exhilarating. Her plan had been to have this much sex with me, but when I didn't go, she at first thought, well, that's out. But once it was available, she let herself get taken by the moment. I asked about the swapping. She said that was a huge mistake. Emily had talked to her about that on the last full day and about how they were trying an open. Emily said it's perfect because she isn't even giving up Chuck, just Mike. She admitted to being curious about Eric. Mostly though, she kind of felt obligated. If they were going to cover, this was kind of payback and a way for them to have something riding on the secret as well. I asked about this weekend. Asked why she agreed to that, if she was so sorry about betraying me the first time. Chrissy said she never intended to step out of line again and swore she was going to make the most of our relationship going forward. I now think about the months following the vacation and wretch. She had been talking with Emily like usual, and Emily just seemed like she was having the time of her life now that she was open. Chrissy admitted to being a little jealous. Emily had been with several men, and Chrissy was living a bit vicariously through her. When Emily started the affair with Mike, she knew what she was missing out on, and became more jealous. For the record, I know Mike had a rep in college for being a ladies' man, and if I'm being honest, was the best looking of the 3 of us. He had managed to stay the most fit as he aged, and that had only improved post-divorce. Chrissy said when the threesome got proposed, she really tried to stay strong and not get drawn in, but as the weeks went on, she found herself just thinking about that. She told me she caved because the spontaneous one had been really good and honestly thought she could get away with it. At that point, she asked how I figured it out, and I said I didn't have to answer that. I asked her if there was anything else, and she said no. She just wanted a chance to earn trust, forgiveness, and to reconcile. I told her I didn't believe that. I mean, come on, 16 years totally faithful, then total porn star with my two best friends for a whole week. She swore, offered her phone, laptop, old phones, old email accounts. I said, no, I don't need all that, because it doesn't matter. You've done enough that I know about already. I am hurt, betrayed, and can't stand to look at you. I am done and I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. When I woke that Monday morning, Chrissy was still home. She usually was on her way to the office but had taken the day off, anticipating I had done the same thing. Once Cora was off to school, she began her love bombing. I told her I didn't care. I'd already seen all this before. She said she had a proposal for me. All access to her, all of her stuff, all the time, marriage counseling. She would go to individual counseling, cut off Emily, Mike, anyone I wanted permanently, and she would be an open book at all times for any questions. I said, those are just things you do when you're trying to reconcile. I don't want to be a warden at home, and I don't want to reconcile. She begged and pleaded and asked that I just wait a week, just a week. And if next Monday I still felt the same, she would sign no matter what, no contest. I looked at her and said, you swear to that? If I wait a week, we will have totally uncontested divorce. No dragging it out at all, she swore. I agreed to the 1-week trial, seemed worth the risk. If she just signed and agreed, that would save us both time and money. If she was lying and still fought the divorce, well, it was just one awkward, terrible week I was losing. She continued to love bomb and consistently tried initiating sex. I rejected these usual efforts, and on Thursday night told her I was not moved in any way and still planned to file on Monday. She broke down and ran into the guest room until the next morning. Friday after work, I could tell she had something in mind. I really didn't care. I was literally counting the hours until I could be rid of her at this point. The love bombing was not working, and I was actually getting annoyed with her overzealous efforts. She said she thought we couldn't go on because of the imbalance that her infidelity had caused. I wasn't sure at first if she was implying what I thought she was implying, but she was. Chrissy said we should have a threesome. I said, you did more than that. She said, okay, and you can have a week off marriage too. I pointed out that was worthless. I just heard all about Eric's disastrous open marriage. I'm a guy, and unless you're a rich guy or a famous guy, you're not picking up women that easily, especially as a mid-30s already married man. There's no point in me sitting in bars for a week or on dating apps not getting matches. She said, okay, you can have 10 hall passes that never expire instead. That can be the same woman or 10 different. I replied, you think that's not going to impact our life? You're going to be okay with that? I doubt it. She said she won't let it suffer. She will make a huge effort to be available for all of my needs, and we can do anything I've ever wanted. I know that what I did next was sleazy. Maybe not as bad as what she did. Still sleazy though, but at the time I didn't really care.